Once it's been repaired, teleport back to the Anachronia lodestone, and once again run up to the north and speak to Karos. Hold spacebar and spam through the chat once again. And when he's finished talking, teleport to Ardoin and go inside the house, inside the farm, upstairs to the tree, and travel to the ranch out of time. Run up to the centre. And just outside the house, next to Granny, you will see Hannibus. Speak to him. Spam through all his chats, and then when he's finished speaking, you don't have to go through all the options, but when he's finished speaking, you can teleport back to Anachronia. So when you get there, we need to head to the ruins in the northeastern part of the island. So we need to head up to this section. So I found the fastest way is to do part of the agility course and then run the last little bit. So head north up to where Karos and Thok are and start the agility course instead of going down the stairs. So keep making your way around the agility course. Once you go through the tunnel here, go over the roots and then move on to the next section. So you make your way down here. So just follow the route across the field here and then around to the northeastern section. You can use the map to make sure you're going the right way, or just follow along with me. So once you get around here to the ruins, you'll notice on the map there are two doors, two little red sections on the ruins here. You want to go to the south one. So if you just click down there, you will automatically run towards it. And when you get to the door, speak to Hannibus outside the door. Spam through his chat, and when he's finished speaking, click on the door to go in. Head down the steps and speak to Hannibus again. Choose option 1, yes. And you will head into a dream. Then speak to Hannibus once again and choose option 1, yes, to see the memory. Now we need to do this twice. So the first time, if you just wait in the room here, one of them will wander around talking for a few minutes and then they will head over to the pillar. So if you stand over and wait next to the pillar and keep an eye on the symbols, you need to see the symbols when he puts them in. Your character will remember them, so it doesn't matter if you write them down or take a picture or anything, it will show up on the screen when you get the right ones anyway. So as he heads over to the pillar, you can see he will input the correct 3 runes, the correct 3 symbols, and you'll remember them and then disappear. That's the end of the memory. So you want to go and speak to Hannibus again. Choose option 1, yes, to view the memory again. This time you're going to follow the other dragonkin. So he will wander up the steps and out the door, so just follow him out there. And then just follow him around. He will head up around to the north of the ruins where the other door is. So just make your way around to the other door. When you get close to the door, just go and stand next to it. And then when he arrives at the door, you will hear the password. Now for both of these, if you notice in the chat box, it will give you a confirmation that you've done each of them. So make sure you've got both of these lines in the chat box. So once you've got the password, head back round to the door in the south and go back in and speak to Hannibus once again. He's in the same spot as he was earlier. Speak to him and tell him, yes, we can disconnect from the dream. So once you've done this, you need to input the information you've just received. So head over to the pylon over here and input the symbols from before. If you just click on them one at a time, your character will tell you when you've got the right one, then you can just move on to the next one. Now be sure you don't click away on the floor and skip the chat, because if you skip the chat after doing the 3rd symbol, it will reset and won't let you continue to the next section. So you have to skip through the chat to make sure that you presses the button after. So there we have the chat. Skip through and you will press the button and get a bit of a chat from Hannibus. Go over and speak to him once again. And he will tell you to head to the lower section. So go out of the door and round to the northern door outside. So speak to Hannibus outside the door. And then click on the door to enter. The password is number 4. And when you go in, speak to Hannibus once again. Then choose option 1, yes, and you will go into another memory. Hannibus is stood just to the northeast, so run up to him there and speak to him once again. He will offer to show you another memory, so choose option 1, yes. And then just hold spacebar and skip through the chat. So once the chat is finished, you'll get a cutscene, press escape to skip through it, and then you will end up back at the ruins. Keep skipping through the chat, there is a bit more of a cutscene and a bit more chat to go through. Spam through the chat with Kerapak and the others. And then once the chat's finished, you will need to attack him. Now you won't do any damage on this and he won't attack you. You just have to keep attacking and wait until the chat starts again. So once you've been attacking and nothing's happening for a minute, he will then interrupt you and start chatting again. So skip through all the chats, then when he disappears you will be chatting with Hannibus, Karos and Thok once again. Once you've gone through all the chat here, it doesn't matter what option you choose. Once all the chat is done, then teleport to Burthorpe. Go back just north of the lodestone, upstairs and speak to Seren once again. So speak to Seren and hold space. There are no options you need to give. So skip through her chat and she will tell you you need to go and speak to Primrose. So teleport up towards the needle. You can use the memory shards to go to the Hall of Memories and run north all the way up to the forest in the northwest and around to the house just before you get to the needle. So when you reach the house here, just go inside the front door and there are 2 people inside. Primrose is just stood on the left. speak to her, and you need to go through all the options. So just start at the top and work your way through each of the options. Make sure you don't repeat yourself because the options tend to move around a little bit. Just make sure you get all the different ones. Once you've finished speaking to Primrose, go back to Berthorpe and go back and speak to Seren again. Go upstairs in the castle, speak to her, spam through her chat. Just hold spacebar down and she will tell you to meet her outside of the heart and that she has arranged a meeting with Jazz. So the heart is down in the desert. So if you have a heart teleport tablet, that's the quickest way there. If you've got a desert amulet that can take you to Nada, that's also a quick option. If, like me, you don't have any other teleports down there, just go to Alcarid Lodestone, run south, go through Shanty Pass, and then you can take the magic carpet to Nada and just go slightly southwest to the entrance to the heart.
Hallo, Effendi.
So you can see on the map where the heart is. So head down here and Seren should be just outside. So speak to her, spam through the chat, and then when that's done, choose option 1, yes. Now when you're speaking to Jazz, you need to go through as many options as possible, but do not use anything that would be insulting. So start with ask about Kerapak, and then tell the story. Then option 2, can you intervene? Then why not? Then 1, point out her power. And then 3, tell me about the barrier. And 5, ask about something else. Then 2, ask about the needle. Number 1, what is it for? Number 2, can it be stopped? And 3, can I assume control? Then 4, ask about something else. Then 4, ask about the dragonkin. 1, why did you bind them to the stone? 2, what did the curse do to them? Do not choose option 3, she won't like that. Then 4, why were you angry about the shadow anima? Then 5, ask about something else. Then 5, ask about the elder gods. And then 1, can you help? She will give you an item. Ask 1, will it kill him? Then choose option 5, leave. So speak to Seren again. Spam through her chat. And when she's done talking, teleport back to Anachronia again. And speak with Karos. Spam through his chat. And then there will be a cutscene where Kerapak shows up. Click through the chat. He tells you that the dinosaurs are on the way into base camp. So we're going to have to fight. Now you can't be injured from this, so you don't need food or anything. You just need to set everyone in the right position. So speak to Thok to start. You will need to remove your weapon. You need empty hands for this because he will give you his weapon. And then it will start. So you need to set up. So for this fight, you need to tell your teammates where to stand and what kind of attack style they do. So spam through the chat first. And then it tells you to set Karos's target style. So right click on him. And click target settings. And choose closest. And then when that's done, then you need to move Hannibus. So click to move Hannibus over to the stairs here. And spam through the chat. Then when you can move the others, move Karos over here. And then move Thok to where Karos was stood. Now there is other ways to do this, but I was told by a clan member that this worked out best. You don't need to move anyone else around during the fight if you've got them in these positions. So once this is done, the dinosaurs will come from this section, and down the stairs here. And I found it best and quickest if you run up and can hit the dinosaurs first before they reach the center. They do less damage to the archaeologists in the center. So once you're ready, press start and wait for the first dinosaurs to come in, which they will come down from the western side. You can actually see on the map where they're coming from. So if you run up, you can't go any further than this. So if you run up and you will automatically hit them. When this timer goes up, you will then hit again. If you can get one hit on the dinos, then everyone else in the center can finish them off pretty easily. And it really doesn't do any damage to the archaeologists until the final wave. I think I finished with about half health left on the first attempt. So keep an eye on the mini-map where the dinos are coming from and just go and stand near them, and when that stamina bar goes all the way up, you will automatically hit the dino closest to you. So if you run up this way, the dinos here go down the stairs and then to the east. So if you need to go to these, it's best to run up the eastern side rather than the western side like I did, then you're not chasing after them. But if you get a couple of hits in, they can finish them off pretty easily. The higher the wave you get, the more dinos there are at once. So don't worry if there does get a bit of damage to the archaeologists in the center. As long as you're using your hits as fast as possible, rather than standing in the center and waiting, then you'll get through this pretty easily. The next ones came from down the stairs here. And from this point, they will start coming from multiple directions at once. As you can see, we've got dinos coming in this direction and also from the west now. And the first one coming in from the southern direction. So you just have to run around, do as much damage as possible, and then let the team in the center finish them off. And just keep doing this. And when all 5 waves are over, we'll fade out and you'll go into chat with everyone else. So stand as close as you are to the dinos. You can see we're nearly done now. It does get a little bit busy towards the end. You can see the health bar above the lodestone there. Doesn't matter what that's on as long as it's not empty. Then once all the dinos are gone, then it will fade out. So, speak to Karas again. Then when they disappear, run back to the north end of the camp and speak to Karas once again. When you get any options, you can choose any options you want. It doesn't make a difference. And spam through the chat, and then he will give you the measure into your inventory and tell you to find him around the volcano. So he has one area up here somewhere, and then he's got 2 places down to the west. And then there's another one right back here at the camp, but I'll get that one last. So if you run to the northeast, you can either run it around or you can do the first section of the agility course. It doesn't really make much difference. It's about the same speed anyway. Once you get up here, just go to the east and you will see him stood there. So when you're stood next to him, you don't need to speak to him, just click on the measure to place it and he will automatically start speaking. Skip through his chat. And then when he's done talking, the quickest way to the next one is to teleport back to the Anachronia lodestone. So run west from the lodestone and go around to the ruins in this direction. So run up to the big game hunter field, run straight through it and go up to the ruins, which is where the mining area is, just to the north of this field. So once you get up the path here, there is a building just to the west, and Karas is stood in there. So once again, go next to him, place the measure, and then spam through his chat. Once he's finished speaking, you get control of yourself again. Out of the building and go to the north and follow the path round to this little building in the east. You can see on the minimap where he stood. Don't run down to the mining area because that is a zygamite. So once again, place the measure, click through the chat, and then when he disappears, teleport back to the Anachronia lodestone. Run to the north, back up to the entrance to the volcano, to the lab, where they've been stood before. And then just north of where Karas is normally stood, there's another little section up here, and he's stood in there, which is the last time you need to use the measure. So stand next to him, place the measure on the floor, spam through the chat. And then when he disappears, go back to this room just to the south and speak to Karas once again. Click through the chat. He will tell you about what he's learned. And then once all the talking is done, you'll be able to enter Karapak's lab. So once all the chat is done, go into the lab. If you are a low level, I would suggest bringing food before you go in. I managed to do it with the amount of food you can see in my inventory with a little bit left over. So if you are a lower level, I suggest bringing a little bit more. If you're a high level, you don't really need to bring any food. So there is a puzzle in this section. If you run to the southwestern room, you can see on the wall we have these symbols, and then there is another pillar further up. Now each section has got both of these. They have a pillar and some runes on the wall. You can take the tablet from next to where I'm stood now. I forgot to pick it up, but I'll pick it up later. That gives you all you need to know to decipher the puzzle. Now I've done this on 2 accounts, and both accounts had the same puzzle, so I'm assuming it's the same for everyone. So I will post the solutions on the screen now. So the book has names written in them, and each of these symbols on the wall has either 8 or 9 symbols in them corresponding to a letter each. Now 2 of the names in the book have 8 letters, 2 have 9 letters, and one of the 9-letter ones starts and ends with the same letter, and one of the 8-letter names starts and ends with the same letter as well. So using that information, you can figure out which one it is. So if you look at the picture I've posted on screen, the southwestern area has 9 symbols, and the first and last symbol are the same. That means it is the name that has 9 letters in and starts and ends with the same letter. And you can work out all 4 of them that way. So once you've got this, you then have to line up each of those symbols with the letters in the actual name. And using that, you can then figure out the code. Now each of these solutions, when, Jess, Bic and Full, are written in the book, which we'll pick up from the southwest. And the book tells you which one of these links to which word. So the solution is what I've given you. I've placed them on the picture in the area of the map they are. So the northwestern pillar, you will need to put when in, and you can see the symbols on the screen there. If it's a bit difficult to see, you can just line them up with the names and the symbols on the wall on your screen. So I will leave the picture up on the screen here for you to follow while I complete the puzzle in the background, and then I'll be back with you when the puzzle's done. So once you have all 4 pillars done, the last one will give you a little cutscene, as you will see in a minute. And the barrier to the room in the north will disappear. So once the barrier is gone, you need to head up there and prepare for a fight. Now this fight is with the stone black dragon, but it is not the version from Elite Dungeons. It is an easier version. It is level 91, doesn't do much damage at all. Generally melee hits around 400. There is the odd attack that can hit a 700, but if you are a high combat level, you should be able to do this quite easily without any food, possibly without armor as well. If you're a lower level, I would suggest bringing food. I did need a little food on this, and I am combat level 121, so I haven't got super high combat, but it's decent enough that I think I used 5 pieces of food for the fight. So he has the same kind of abilities as in Elite Dungeons, but very, very weak in comparison. So you don't really need to move around. I would just suggest dodging the one attack with... So you don't really need to move around a lot during this. I would suggest dodging the blue smoke attack. But if you think you can do it without that, then you can just stand in one spot and keep fighting. Now he's got 180,000 hit points, so just grind your way through it, keep attacking, and when it's done we will move on to the next section. So I will speed my fight up a little bit from here, just because as a lower level it does take me longer than probably most other people. So if I do it a little bit faster than you, then you can just pause the video, ready for the next section. So once its health is down, take the last hit, and when it's dead, you will go into a little cutscene with Kerapak. Spam through the chat. The option you choose doesn't really matter. And then you will use the device that you received from Jazz. Again, any option you want. And then when he disappears, you have to try and get out of here. So the place will start falling apart. Rocks will be falling down. So if you run one direction here, rocks will fall in front of you, and then run the other direction. You do have a time limit for this, but if you do it the correct way, then it's very easy getting out. So run to the south and then around to the southeast. A rock will fall behind you and then in front of you, so head up the stairs. Another rock will fall in front of you. Head back down and to the north, the way you came from, you will see Karos stood on the other side. Walk towards him and he will destroy the boulders blocking the path. Then follow it around to the west and down south again, and you will see Thok stood on the other side. Run past Thok towards Hannibus. Before you get to him, a rock will block your path, so run up the steps to the west. It is a bit laggy. You kind of stop and start a bit with the rocks falling, so if you just keep spam clicking, it will keep you running all the time. Sometimes if you just click once, it will stop where the rocks are falling, so it takes a little bit of time to get through them. So once you get to the stairs to the south here, just run up any side you want, and then when you get here, exit to the south door. So there'll be a cutscene, press escape, then speak to Karos, spam through the chat, and it will give you an item. So when they've finished chatting on, then teleport back to Berthorpe. We're going to head back to the start of the quest. So go north into the castle, up the stairs, and then speak to Seren. So speak to Seren. Any option you want, doesn't really matter. And spam through the chat. It's up to you if you want to show her what you got or not. Spam through the chat again, and there we have quest complete. So for this, you get 3 quest points, a 20,000 XP archaeology lamp, a 20,000 XP combat lamp, a cosmic focus. Thok's stick is a cosmetic override. You get a totem piece from the new totem and 2 treasure hunter keys. And there we have quest complete.